Hi everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host Jenna, and this is our daily show giving you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus insight into what it all means. And joining me as always is AMC Editor-in-Chief John Campia.
Hey everybody, hello Jenna.
Hey John.
How are you doing today?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, thank you.
Also joining me is AMC Associate Editor Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Friday, girl.
Happy Friday to you. In the spirit of sharing, because John's not today.
Yeah, he didn't, did he?
It's just light, but it's great. I knew today was going to be a good day because as I was driving to work this fine, gloomy morning, Biggie Smalls, there was a mashup, and it was seamless, and it was great, and I knew today was going to be a good day because Biggie Smalls leads the way. Just saying.
All right, let's get started. Did Joss Whedon just trash Warner Brothers and DC? Well, it sort of looks like it. The Avengers director was asked in a recent interview about his work on a Wonder Woman movie for DC. In that interview, he said the following: "It's not easy, it's not a simple trick. The Marvel properties, with the exception of Batman, who has often been described as the Marvel character in the DC universe, are much easier to translate to a modern audience." Regarding his work on Wonder Woman specifically, Whedon said, "I loved what I was doing on Wonder Woman. Clearly, I was an excited party of one. I wrote the movie, I felt good about the characters, the structure needed work, I did another outline, they read it, and we're done. There wasn't even a phone call." John, does it sound to you like Whedon is ripping DC and Warner Brothers?
Yeah, yeah, it really does. And this is surprising me. I mean, Whedon is such an amicable guy. But look, when you come out and say, okay, first of all, he says, let's look at his statement really carefully. First of all, he's saying, well, first of all, Marvel characters are much easier to translate to the big screen. But then he says, but then obviously as a film fan, we're thinking, well, Batman translated well to the big screen, but Whedon covers his bases. And what does he say? With the exception of Batman, which really is just a Marvel character in the DC universe. It's like, what did he just say? Did he really just say that? And then he goes on to talk about the Wonder Woman situation. It's like, hey, I read it and I loved it. But apparently I was the only guy who did because they didn't even call me back. So it's like, whoa. Like, look, for a lot of people to say this, it wouldn't sound that harsh. Coming from a guy like Joss Whedon, to me, this sounds actually quite harsh, and it kind of took me back a little bit. It's like, wait a minute, what is he saying? Like, yeah, Batman, but that's really just a Marvel character anyway? I mean, really? I don't know. Amy Rose, am I reading too much into this?
Well, first of all, Warner Brothers, I don't know what you're thinking. Did you see what the man did with Avengers? Like, obviously, besides Batman and Nolan, the DC playbook has not been very strong to date, let's call it. So I would just think, first of all, Wonder Woman's a great character. Why wouldn't you want Joss Whedon on it? And second of all, give him the time of day. Like, if he put, the energy and love into a script, which is what he does, he's very careful and detailed, why wouldn't you at least look at it? I don't understand. So, but yes, I do think he's trashing them a little bit. Sounds like for good reason. Warner Brothers needs all the help they can get right now with DC. So you would think that they would take people with a proven track record that really does justice to comic book characters, like Whedon has done. So it doesn't make sense to me. But good for you, Whedon. Stick to your guns. Stick up for yourself. But also watch out because Warner Brothers is a big studio.
Well, now, let's keep a couple things in mind. I mean, when we say, did you see what he did with Avengers? Obviously, and you know this.
Yes.
He did Avengers long after the Wonder Woman script.
Of course.
And to be fair to Warner Brothers, script may have sucked. I mean,
but work with him on it.
I know,
then,
yeah. I mean, the script may have sucked, and you might say, "Hey, this isn't working." Maybe they weren't convinced. I'll be honest with you; I'm not convinced a Wonder Woman standalone film can be a success either.
I think it'd be good.
So maybe it was a combination of the two, of the fact that they weren't really sold that the Wonder Woman character could work. Because let's face it, there've been a lot of, especially around that time, there were a lot of studios were taking chances on doing female lead action type movies, and for the most part they were all bombing, which is really disturbing. I think that says something terrible about us as movie-going audiences to start
Tomb Raider did pretty well.
But that's the only one. That's the one exception in my head, that was that Tomb Raider did pretty well, like Aeon Flux.
Well, that
Elektra,
wasn't good.
But so they tried. Yeah. They've tried it. So that, and then maybe the script wasn't good. I'm going to give them all the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, it just didn't work. But that's one statement by Whedon. yeah, Batman worked. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, Batman worked, but that's really just essentially a Marvel character.
It's hard
anyway.
for me to
It's like, what?
It's hard for me to think that Whedon would turn in a really bad script, though. I just feel
Everybody has a bad day at the office. Even Spielberg has made a bad movie or two.
yeah, I am drinking the Kool-Aid, sure, but I don't know. I just feel like they shouldn't have just turned it away like that. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes. Maybe they'll come back to him now and be like, all right, let's try this Wonder Woman thing.
Okay, as you all know by now, J.J. Abrams will be directing Star Wars Episode 7. The announcement came just a few short months prior to the release of J.J.'s next Star Trek movie, Star Trek Into Darkness. John previously made the observation that the ramification has been that whenever J.J.'s name comes up, people talk Star Wars and not the upcoming Star Trek, and wondered if the timing of all this was an effort on Disney's part to mess with Star Trek. Now, with the looming, but not yet made, announcement that Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill are signing on to reprise their roles for the next Star Wars film, John, do you have another theory about Disney messing with Marvel?
Okay, let's all put on the conspiracy theory hats here, okay?
I'm scared.
None of this
No, me
is
too.
based on, I want to just preamble this right to the hilt. None of this is based on fact. This is all conspiracy theory on my part. I just so happen to think the pieces fit. But this also feeds into our previous story. Okay, you're right. I did say when the J.J. Abrams announcement was made, I said, man, the Paramount people and the Star Trek people have to be furious about this. Because obviously now, whenever we talk J.J. Abrams, people aren't talking about Star Trek. They're talking about Star Wars. That has got to infuriate. I would be furious. That's got
Paramount.
to infuriate them. Yeah. And now we've been talking about, okay, look, it's clear that Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill are all coming back. We know this, but they haven't made the official announcement yet. Well, what are they waiting for? Oh, wait, Star Trek's coming soon. But why? Why, I ask you, would Marvel, and specifically Disney, which owns Marvel, want to mess with Star Trek like this? Why? I asked that question, and one of our viewers, and I apologize that I can't forget the name, but it was a synonym in there. One of our readers
Just a synonym.
asks us, or says to me in the comment section of of yesterday's show, says, John, I got a theory for you. I'm like, okay, what's the theory? And this is what he said. He goes, look, Disney doesn't just own Marvel. They own Star Wars. So they own both. What is opening just 2 weeks before Star Trek? Iron Man 3. So his theory was this. Remember, once again, none of this is based on fact. This is all speculation. His theory was this, that they're holding off. First of all, they did the big JJ thing to kind of mess with Star Trek's mojo to start with. They're holding off. They're going to wait to the last minute to make the official announcement of Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill. They're going to have a big event down at the Garment's Chinese. They're going to have all the 3 stars there, surrounded by 100 stormtroopers, and they're going to make the big announcement and kill any publicity for Star Trek at that point to try to make Iron Man have longer legs past the 2 weeks. Look, I'm not saying I'm completely buying into that. I'm just saying, commenter, awesome theory. It's good to. I don't know, Amy Rose, look, are we really stretching here, or do you smell shades of possibility here?
I don't know. I mean, there's always shades of possibility, but I definitely don't think maybe there needs to be this big elaborate theory. Star Wars versus Star Trek. First of all, when that news first hit, J.J. Abrams, I wanted both to coexist. I love both of these franchises so much. So I really made, the whole dialogue between which one is better at the front and center, because obviously it's one director, similar visions for different properties, whatever. But I don't know if it's this big elaborate conspiracy theory. The thing about Star Wars is it's so up in the air right now. There's not a lot of details. So everyone wants to know, what is our beloved property? What is it going to turn out? Are we going to get the original characters back? It's so in flux right now that of course, that's going to be the more discussed about. But, Star Trek comes out in May, right? And I'm so excited about that. We saw the 8 minutes preview of IMAX, which was great and beautiful. Awesome. And I love the cast, Zachary Quinto, Chris Pine. I think they did a really good job. So I'm really excited about that. But Star Wars, especially with the prequels, the bad taste of those prequels in our mouth for many of us, not all, we want kind of, to redeem that. So we just want to make sure that is in good hands right now,
Yeah, I think it makes us hungrier all the more, but I don't know, man.
But like you said yesterday, the fatigue of the Star Wars. Like, we just want concrete confirmation.
I just wouldn't doubt if it was like 2 days before the release of Iron Man, or probably maybe 2 days before the release of Iron Man, or 1 week after the release of Iron Man 3. That's what I'm calling it. 1 week after the release of Iron Man 3, which will be 1 week before the release of Star Trek, Marvel and Disney's going to come out and do this big press event to bring all the thunder to them.
But it's Paramount too with Star Trek. They could step it up a little bit.
They could, but man, they're behind the 8 ball, and it's too bad because I'm so looking forward to Star Trek.
I'm excited for all 3 of them, so I don't think one will diminish that. Like, I'm looking forward to all 3 of them.
But they're definitely trying to upstage. They're definitely trying to upstage. Okay, folks. Well, listen. One of the films opening that I'm really excited about this weekend in AMC theaters is Oz the Great and Powerful. I'm going to tell you right now. I was afraid it was really going to suck because I did not like Alice in Wonderland, and a lot of us, when we see the trailers for Oz the Great and Powerful, we kind of reminds us of Alice in Wonderland. But I went to go see it, and I said on this show a few days ago, I loved it. I thought it was really great. But recently, I was invited down by the good folks at Disney to interview the cast and the crew of Oz the Great and Powerful, which once again opens tonight in AMC theaters everywhere. You can go on over to amctheaters.com to get your ticket and movie and showtime information right now. But I wanted to share with you just a few moments of my conversations with James Franco and Mila Kunis of Oz the Great and Powerful. Take a look. First of all, congratulations on the film. It exceeded every expectation I had.
Thank you.
And this, it's hard to say it, but this is my favorite performance I've ever seen you give, because you've got 2 characters you're doing. You've got Oz, and it also seems like you're playing the character of a 1939 actor, and you're kind of merging them together to make this one screen experience. What did you guys want this character to be specifically? How did you want him to come across?
Let's see. Well, as far as I know, Sam designed the character in such a way so that he wouldn't have just a physical journey through a fantastical land, that he would have an emotional arc.
Right.
And so he had to start off in one way, a flawed kind of way, so that he could have someplace to go. And he, was written as a traveling magician in the, early 1900s. So I suppose what I drew from were like older kind of films, and when we were shooting, I remember people saying, "Oh, it's sort of like a combination of Charlie Chaplin and Clark Gable. He's a bit of a womanizer, a bit charming, but he's also kind of, in some cases, he bumbles, and especially when he gets to Oz, because everyone thinks he's a real wizard, so he has to fake it, and sometimes he's not so good at it."
You get to play a really enviable character yourself in Theodora. When you first look at Theodora, were you excited because it's Oz, or did you feel like a weight of responsibility because it's Oz?
Both. I mean, I think Theodora's a new character. I think her evolution is very iconic, but I think Theodora herself is a very modern, naive young girl. But yeah, I think that there's like a level of expectation, like you said, that comes with a film like this. I think most films don't have expectations. Some people want it to be good, but they don't really know the outcome. And this movie has a very iconic outcome to it with all the characters. And so you are given this responsibility. And for me, just don't mess it up. I mean, that's all it was like, try to go and do the best job you can and be as honest and truthful to the character that you are given, and have fun with it.
Once again, Oz the Great and Powerful opens in AMC theaters everywhere tonight. Go on over and get your tickets at amctheaters.com right now. I loved it. I hope you will too. Well, we've come to that part of the show known as the mailbag. You guys, if you have a topic or question you'd like us to ask on air, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Every day we pick out a few questions and we answer them on the show. Jenna's got a few of them picked out of the mailbag right now. So Jenna, what do we got?
Warren Little writes, do you guys think Quentin Tarantino should do a spin-off/sequel to Pulp Fiction following Samuel L. Jackson's character Jules Winfield's retirement from the life and the adventures he spoke about getting into on his spiritual journey?
I'm going to say no. I don't think that is a movie, as much as I really liked it, and really, honestly, I didn't like it as much as most people do, but still.
Which is nuts.
I thought it was a very self-contained film, and I don't think it needs to go any further. Now, I've always said no film needs a sequel. You just want to see them, but I was very satisfied with where all the characters ended up. I'm happy with it, and I want to see Tarantino just continue to do his original film. So for me, I don't want to see it.
Pulp Fiction is his original film.
Not really.
Yes, it is. I have different sentiment about this because Pulp Fiction is my favorite Quentin Tarantino film. I know John is more of a fan of his later work, like the revisionist tales with Inglourious and all of those. But Pulp Fiction, I just think, was raw and amazing, and such an amazing way to tell a story the way Quentin did, and out of sequence and order. It's very ballsy though and risky to do a sequel this late in the game. What comes to mind is Get Shorty and Be Cool. It was actually, John Travolta was a gangster, and then it came back after and it was still clever, but it wasn't nearly as good. I kind of think we should let that amazing cult classic stay where it is. Would I see it if it happened? Of course. I love those characters. I love Samuel L. Jackson in that role. Best monologue ever, really. But I kind of am with John on this. I kind of feel like it's been a while. Maybe we should just continue down the Quentin path with this new generation.
Clayton Locke writes, "Hey guys, big fan of the show. I know you get questions about video game movies a lot and that you've said that they're all bad. There's already talk about movie adaptations for Splinter Cell, Assassin's Creed, and Valve's Half-Life and Portal games. But my question is, are there any games out there that you think would become great quality film adaptations if done right?"
Okay, here's the big caveat on that is your final phrase there. If done right. A movie, first of all, thank you so much for the question. A movie about me going to Panera for a cup of tea can be awesome if done right.
I don't know about that.
A movie about almost anything, if done right, could be fantastic. See, the problem with video game movies
A lot of wiggle room.
is that you get some stories that present themselves as being less or more difficult to do right. There are a lot of video game movies are very difficult to do right because games are not they're not designed for narrative, they're designed for gameplay, which is the way it should be, and that's why games are awesome. And different stories lend themselves. So some stories are easier to do right. Some stories and material are harder to do right. But if you're just going to put the blanket statement on it, hey, if this game is done right, well then of course it'll be awesome. If that story is done right, that'll be awesome. If done right, though, is the big catch. That's the catch. And so far, none of them have been able to be done right because these are stories and material meant for gameplay, not for narrative. Amy Rose, what are your thoughts?
Well, out of the ones you listed, I think Portal is a really cool game, and I think that it's going to be a really interesting alternate dimensions. I just think it will be a really cool game. I've always really wanted to see the Batman Arkham City storyline in a film. I think that would be really great. And yeah, as John said, I don't really think a Panera film about John would be that interesting, but with the right script and the right director and vision, I mean, you can. And the cool thing about video games is some of the storylines are so elaborate and imaginative and creative, unlike all the reboots and remakes happening. So they can make a really good film, but I personally really like the game developers to be involved with the process. Otherwise, it kind of just is loosely based on the game, and I think it loses a lot of the love and appeal behind the games. So it can be done right. I think Assassin's Creed will say a lot because Michael Fassbender, I feel like he can do no wrong. So I think that's going to be a really cool, and it's a great game. So yeah.
I'm going to disagree with you though on getting the game developers. I think one of the reasons so many video game movies have failed is because in the contracts, the game companies have had some veto power and have had say in scripts. These are game makers, not filmmakers, so I don't want them involved at all, personally.
That's why it has to be a collaboration. But
I don't think it should be a collaboration
the original
either.
vision, it comes with the whole thing with Marvel characters, with anything with built-in franchises. Fans want to know that it's true to what we grew up on, what we played, something like that. One thing that just came to mind, how cool would it be with a Mario Kart game, a movie? Are you kidding? That'd be so cool. Mario Kart?
But I've said this for a long time, and I'm going to stick by this. The most true movie adaptation to a game ever was Dungeons and Dragons. That was the most true adaptation and possibly the worst movie ever made. So
some shouldn't be touched.
Games are different. I mean, I'm sure my absolute stance is wrong in many ways.
Collaboration. That's what it's about. Bring it to the film. Keep it true to the game.
Let the game makers be game makers.
Leave them
alone.
That's all I'm saying.
Simon Blakemore writes, "Hi guys, love the show, keep up the good work. I was wondering, with the success of comic book movies that Marvel and DC are having, should manga get in on the act? Because I know some manga that would make some great movies, like Claymore and Guyver."
There are lots of stories out there, actually, that would make for great films because they already have some great groundwork narrative laid. You've mentioned a couple of good ones. Not a lot of people know this. Do you know there already is a live-action Guyver movie? It was done all the way, it was like 22 years ago, back in 1991. Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, starred in Guyver, the live-action film. It was so bad. It's so bad.
So bad it was good?
It's so bad that it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch with a bunch of buddies, you know, when you're doing nothing.
With alcohol?
But it's really bad. It is really bad. Make no mistake about it. The problem that they're going to face is this, is that with modern comic book movies, maybe not everybody knows everything about Iron Man, but everybody in North American culture have heard of Iron Man. We know who Iron Man is. We know who the Hulk is. We know who Superman is. We know who Batman is. We generally speaking know who the Avengers are, even if we're the non-comic book fans, they don't know all the details. We know who the Avengers are. We know who the X-Men are. We know who the Fantastic Four. So there's that built-in audience in North America. The problem with these stories that you're talking about is that you are fighting the uphill battle that the vast majority of the movie-going audience here has never heard of them. So you're fighting that big uphill battle. I agree with you. There are several of them that could make some really great and very interesting live-action movies. I just don't know that a lot of studios will take the chance on it because I don't know that they can make money here. I'd like to be proved wrong. I hope I'm wrong. One of my favorite that I want to see from Japanese animation is Space Battleship Yamato, also known as Star Blazers in North America. I've been dying to see a North American big studio version of that personally. But like I said, it's an uphill battle, so somebody will do it and somebody will crack it eventually. I just don't know it'll be soon.
Same. It's definitely, I mean, of course we'd like to see that, but as John mentioned, I mean, lesser known characters might not have as much pull to, you know, with Avengers you have 5 huge celebrities on the screen. So whether they're big fans of Marvel, which hopefully they are as well, or they're just fans of that, you know, same with Oz, the Great and Powerful. Whether you're a big fan of Wizard of Oz and all of that, or you're just going for the celebrities, it has that pull. So with the right director, the right, you know, screenplay, the right actor, sure, it might get some love, but they're probably going to keep focusing on the more commercial characters for now.
Kevin Hooker writes, "Hey guys, I just recently started watching this show and I find it quite entertaining and informative. What an awesome idea." Well, thanks, Kevin. My question is about Sherlock Holmes 3. I've heard rumors the film was going to be made. In fact, from what I've read, they were already planning on making it. So what are your thoughts on another Sherlock Holmes?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I personally, Sherlock Holmes, I really like Guy Ritchie. Snatch is like one of my favorite films ever. But I don't know, when I first watched Sherlock Holmes, it was a little lackluster to me. I watched it again and I liked it more, but I can't say it was like my favorite. Now, Robert Downey Jr. can almost do no wrong to me because I love him, and him with, you know, Watson. I thought it was good, but I still didn't love it. So I would like to see him maybe, if he's going to do a sequel or a trilogy, like maybe continue with Lock, Stock or Snatch or something if you want to dip into your work. If they make it, it will make money. It's got star power, and sure, I'll see it. And I thought the second one was fine with Nomi Rapace. I think she's a really good actress. But I am a fan of some of his earlier work a little more, so that would be my preference. But if it's made, I'll see it.
They are making it.
Yeah.
They've already kind of announced that they're just waiting for Robert Downey Jr. to finish all of his commitments with Iron Man because Robert Downey Jr. likes to have script input and he hasn't had time to do that yet, so they are moving ahead and doing it. Personally, I loved the first Sherlock Holmes. I love it when filmmakers take a little bit of liberty, take a well-established character that we all know and seen a lot of times, and put kind of new spins on it. Honestly, one of the things I liked about the Twilight franchise was the fact that they took the mythology of vampires and they changed it up. That it wasn't just all the same vampire stuff we have always seen 1,000 times, and they changed it up. And that is one of the things about that franchise that I applauded. To say, hey, you know what? Took existing mythology, messed it up a little bit, made it kind of new. I respected it. I like that. And I like that they did it with Sherlock Holmes. So it is coming. I didn't like the second one as much as I liked the first one, but I still think the potential's there. And I'll be looking forward to a third one as well.
Mark Strong was my favorite part of the first.
Yeah, agreed.
I think he's just
fantastic.
So amazing in everything. He's a good villain.
Garrett Pittenger writes, with the release of the Hangover Part 3 poster, which was awesome, and teaser trailer indicating the end of the series, do you guys think it will really be the concluding chapter? Will they make another one if it does well enough and is good, even if they can't get the original cast back? Perhaps they'll take the American Pie route of making spin-offs with related characters and different actors.
Does Warner Brothers not like money? I mean, if it, the second one really did fall short for most of us because the first one was so good and they literally just followed the same formula and then tried to call it different because it was in a different environment. The third, because of the trailer, I thought looked funny. The giraffe part, I mean, Zach Galifianakis' character, Alan, it's so good.
Wow, that was so funny.
But I hope they are, I mean, they're going back to Vegas, so already it's a good sign. I think it's going to make a lot of money. It's going to do really well. Would I be interested in seeing an Alan spin-off movie? Hell yeah. That would be so funny. I think that's the best character Zach Galifianakis has ever played. The rest of them, I don't know. They're not as quirky and silly. The Wolfpack together is great, but Alan alone standoff movie, I think that could actually happen.
Nah, kill this thing. Kill it, kill it, kill it.
I'm
really looking forward to Hangover Part 3. I really am. But now it's time to put it to bed. It's time for it to die. I've always said that, look, sometimes we want sequels not because the story needs a sequel, but because I want to revisit these friends again. I want to come back and visit them again. And we got that with Part 2, and we're getting it with Part 3. So the idea of doing like an American Pie thing where, hey, just do a Hangover 4, but it's a totally different cast of guys. Nah, because now you're taking away, first of all, you have no story need, and you're taking away the friends that I want to revisit, so there's no point. And by the end of the third film, I think we're done with the characters. I really do.
That's not the question, though. Not if we want it. The question is if we think it could happen. If it makes a lot of money.
It can happen, but even if I don't think even if it makes a lot of money, I don't think Bradley Cooper wants to go back.
I don't think Bradley.
Yeah, so I think now Ed Helms, his popularity seems to have peaked a while ago. So he's proven he can't carry a movie on his own. I think Galifianakis has a lot of other things he can do. Yeah. And I think he runs the risk of us getting tired of him if he just keeps going back for a fourth time to that same character.
I don't want them to do it.
Yeah.
But I would see it.
I don't think they will. I really don't think they will. Is it possible? Of course it's possible, but I think it's extremely unlikely.
I like when trilogies are trilogies.
Yeah,
like when they really are.
I agree.
Okay, you guys are gonna love this one. Michael Falcinelli writes, "Hey guys, love your show. The only thing that can make your show better is alcohol. With that, I'm working on the AMC Movie Talk drinking game. Here are a few rules. Take a drink if the topic discussed is about a remake or a sequel.
Check.
Take a shot if the female host isn't the same from the day before.
Check.
Take a drink when Schnepp says 100% buy.
Not on today, but I guess it would have been a check if he was here.
Also, when Campia demands you subscribe to the YouTube channel.
That's coming.
And when Amy Rose raises her hands up for no apparent reason.
I don't feel like I did that too much today.
How drunk would you get if you played this game, you guys?
We would get significantly inebriated.
I'm wasted now.
I love that email. That's actually really funny.
That's funny.
If any of you guys have any more rules you think would be good to add to that, please, by all means, send them in. And put in the subject line, when you write to amcmovietalk@gmail.com, put in the subject line, new drinking game.
Michael, that's pretty funny. And being
great.
a whiskey girl, I'm down with that. So great idea. And by the way, this is passion. When I get really into it, this is passion. So let's get drunk, apparently.
All right, folks, so listen, we have run out of time. Thank you so much. Listen, while I got you, stop what you're doing, take a second and click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, our editorials, and of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. And go see a movie tonight like Oz the Great and Powerful. Head on over to amctheaters.com to get all your theater and showtime information as well as your movie tickets. And once again, click that subscribe button. Check. So thank you again to our wonderful host today, Ms. Jenna Phillips.
Thank you.
To our AMC Movie News Associate Editor, Ms. Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
And thank you to you guys. Listen, the most important part of the show is not what we have to say, it's what you have to say. So jump on down into the comment section. Leave your thoughts on any or all the topics we've discussed here today. Thanks again, and until next time, my name's John Campia for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.